Welcome to the AFR Saints channel, where we provide you daily content on your favorite team, the New Orleans Saints. Do us a favor and hit that subscribe button. Be sure to leave your comments below and smash that like button. Who dat?
An athletic, disruptive defensive tackle who's going to come in and work hard every single day. Come in and do everything he needs to earn the respect of, the players and the coaches on the team already, and just leave it all out there.
That is Saints' first-round pick, Bryan Bresee, a guy that many people had mocked to New Orleans at 29 overall. The Saints were able to be patient, and there he was, and they made the pick. Let's find out about him. Our buddy Brad Senkiw, who we got to know really well back in 2019 when LSU and Clemson were playing for the Natty. We get to call on him again from 105.5 The Roar. Glad to have Brad rejoining the show. Hey, man, it's great to chat. Thanks for the time. How are you?
Oh, Matt, it's my pleasure. It's always good to talk to you. I'm doing really well, and I'm glad to be on with you today.
Hey, man, I want to start with the most obvious question everyone here is asking. Then we can get into some of the nuance. A lot of people here are worried about an injury history with Bryan Bresee. He downplayed it. The Saints downplayed it. What are your thoughts on his, I guess, general lack of availability during his 3 years in Clemson?
Well, to me, the concern is the lack of development for missing so much time. It's not really the injury. I don't think of him as an injury-prone guy. I know that, the knee injury that he suffered in 2021, that was just kind of a freak thing, blew out a knee. It happens to a lot of guys, and I didn't think that much of it. Last year, he was sick. He was dinged up. Like, he just wasn't, plus he had all the off-the-field things going on with the tragedy with his family. So I don't know that it compounds into something where I feel like he's an injury-prone guy. He needed to be on the field. He needed to develop more. And I think that was really the knock. I think the medical stuff, you really shouldn't worry long-term about that. I think he'll be okay.
Okay. That's fantastic to know. The interesting thing is when you look back of Bryan Bresee as a prospect, like, he was like number one everything, right? I mean, the number one defensive tackle, one of the top player in the country. I mean, he was a phenomenally highly rated player. Can you walk us back to that recruiting process and what the thought was when he signed with Clemson back in 2020?
Sure. This was one of probably the best recruits Clemson's ever had. I mean, really, this guy was his film in high school was phenomenal because he was a man among boys. He was over 300 pounds already. He was, 6'4", 6'5". He was bigger than everybody out there on the football field that he played against in Maryland, and he just dominated. I mean, he was in the backfield on every snap. He was already past this guy. But, you still had to wonder what was it going to look like when he gets into college. I remember just being, just blown away with just the sheer size of him and the fact that somebody can move as well as he can at that time. And he really does. He almost looks a little too heavy at times, but when you see him on the field, I don't think he carries that weight forward. And so I remember thinking the first time I saw him, like, man, this guy's going to be an absolute monster. And his lower body strength is what always stood out to me when he was a young player. And I think he's built up his upper body. That took a little bit of time. But that lower body, that explosiveness off the ball was something that Clemson really, really coveted. I mean, everybody in the country wanted this guy. And he was, Clemson's really fortunate to get him. And I think he was certainly a high-level recruit that I know some people may say he didn't live up to it, per se, but still has that pedigree in him. I guarantee it.
Brad Senkiw's with us. He's on Twitter at Brad Senkiw, Senkiw. Don't go spell it phonetically. You're not going to find him. I just looked it up, Brad. He was the 18th highest rated player in the history of the 247 composite. Like, this was a massive, massive recruit. So he shows up on campus, and obviously it's the COVID year. Walk me through what that freshman year was like for Bresee.
Well, obviously, everyone's coming on in a COVID year. You didn't know what to expect, sort of over your expectations. He was out there from the very beginning. I don't know if he actually started the first game, like he was on the field starting, but he played a whole bunch of snaps. It was with Wake Forest in 2020, and he was in the backfield, one of go, though. And that's what stood out to me about that first year. And I think that, he just kept flashing. He kept saying, man, if he puts on a little more weight, upper body-wise, and gets in shape and feels good, he's going to be an absolute monster. And, it didn't quite work out in 2021 when he blew out his knee.
Yeah, so blew out the knee in 2021, and then obviously this past year, his junior year, a big part of the season got derailed because of the tragedy. He had a young sister that had cancer and tragically passed away. What was it like for him in covering him this past season, where obviously he did have a lot of expectation, but then he just dealt with a lot personally?
Yeah, it was hard, and it was really sad to see that family go through what they did and have to deal with just at first just the constant the illness side of it, and the parents were flying back and forth. They wanted to be with her in Maryland with Ella, and then they would come back. The whole family would come back and try to get to Clemson to see games. And then it was early in the season. I think it was the home opener. She was supposed to be honored on the field, and she fell really ill. And it was about a week later that she passed, and it just absolutely crushed everybody in the community. I mean, it reached every single person who had ever seen or been around Bryan Bresee. And he was just in a very different state, and he had to step away from the team, obviously. But a lot of the guys went up there and saw him. A lot of guys went to the funeral, and they were around him and with him. And then when he came back to the team, I mean, it was just a shot in the arm. People talked about how when Bryan came back, that he said that he had to be there for them because they were there for him during the tragedy and the loss of his sister. He thought he had to repay his team by coming back. He didn't need to come back, man. He could have set out 4, 5, 6 weeks, and no one would have said a thing about it, and no one had a problem. He was back in a couple of weeks on the field at Wake Forest. He played really well. He even tipped a ball that basically saved the game that helped force Wake Forest into a fourth-down situation for Clemson to hold on and win in overtime. So he came back and did that, and it was just your heart went out to the guy, but man, you just gained a ton of respect for him. How he handled himself, he was so mature about it. He played for his sister. He did it for her. It was really one of the more, as tragic as it was such a community feel around him. I don't know that I've ever experienced that around a player where everyone wrapped around Bryan.
Brad, as we're talking, a couple of things are very obvious. There's no character concerns whatsoever, and the health medical that a lot of people were questioning seems to check out fine, which is great. So then when you start to talk about like on the field, how does he project at the next level? I mean, you have this big dude, 6'6", 300 pounds. What does he do best?
I think that lower body explosiveness, I think he's a violent player. Now, can you get that out of him? It's hard at the collegiate level to really get some of that out of these guys consistently. And I think everybody says that, right? Defensive line, got to be more consistent. But he is a violent player with his hands. I think he's extremely good against getting the quarterback out of the backfield or into the backfield. I don't know that Clemson's defense was set for him to do that very often. I think they wanted him to be more run control in a lot of situations. And I think that's really kind of a knock on Clemson for a few years there, because they probably weren't aggressive enough going after the quarterback. But I think he's going to do that at the next level. And I think he's going to be a guy who can line up inside and get after him. I think he can line up outside in certain situations, too, if you need him to. He's got the speed. He's got the pure, just raw power that you need to overcome or just beat a guard or a tackle. So I think you're going to see him be used more in a versatile role than what he was at Clemson. But I like his hands and I like his lower body explosion. I think, to me, he just was never in shape last year, man. For rightful reasons. Right? We all know why. He was sick. He had I think, a strep or something like that. And he had the tragedy. He just could not get his body where it needed to be. I saw a dedicated version of him right after the season ended. I saw the video. He looked different. Something was changed at Bryan. I think he got his mind right, his emotions right, and he's in a better place. I think you're going to get that side of him when he sets foot in New Orleans.
He is Brad Senkiw. Man, we are there's a lot of people here excited about him. If you maximize the potential, you maximize the potential of a player like that. It's a gigantic position of need for New Orleans, and it might be one of those things, Brad, where they got a player who had no business being drafted at 29. He probably should have been off the board way earlier. So we're excited to see it. Brad, we appreciate it, man. Have a great weekend. Thanks for stopping by for a couple of minutes, man.
Man, it's always good to catch up to you, my friend. Take care.
Hey, thanks so much for watching. Please leave your comments. I love to interact, and be sure to hit the red subscribe button below.